to the ocean to face the storm. I'll bottle up these waves before they reach the shore. I know it's now or never to get what's mine, 'cause this little light, I'm gonna let it shine. Racing to the ends of the earth. I know I'm probably not the first, but I'm gonna be the last one standing. Don't got a dream, just a mandate. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire. You know I can't stop 'cause I don't know how. This rolling thunder's gonna shake the ground. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire, and I'm never burning out. Never burning out, 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 burning out. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire. You know I can't stop 'cause I don't know how. This rolling thunder's gonna shake the ground. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire, and I'm never burning out. I get too deep sometimes in my own head, unstitch the fabric to find a common thread. Got caught up in the hustle and forgot to love. Woke up in the rubble to a light from above. Racing to the ends of the earth. I know I'm probably not the first, but I'm gonna be the last one standing. Ain't gonna dream, just a mandate. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire. You know I can't stop 'cause I don't know how. This rolling thunder's gonna shake the ground. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire, and I'm never burning out. I'm diving to the ocean to face the storm. I'll bottle up these waves before they reach the shore. I know it's now or never to get what's mine, 'cause this little light, I'm gonna let it shine. Racing to the ends of the earth. I know I'm probably not the first, but I'm gonna be the last one standing. Don't got a dream, just a mandate. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire. You know I can't stop 'cause I don't know how. This rolling thunder's gonna shake the ground. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire, and I'm never burning out. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire, and I'm never burning out. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire, and I'm never burning out. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire, and I'm never burning out. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire, and I'm never burning out. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire, and I'm never burning out. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire, and I'm never burning out. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire, and I'm never burning out. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire, and I'm never burning out. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire, and I'm never burning out. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire, and I'm never burning out. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire, and I'm never burning out. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire, and I'm never burning out. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire, and I'm never burning out. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire, and I'm never burning out. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire, and I'm never burning out. 'cause I don't know how. It's rolling thunder's gonna shake the ground. I'm chasing fire, I'm chasing fire, and I'm never burning out. Never burning out, 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 burning out. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire. You know I can't stop. the shore. I know it's now or never to get what's mine. 'Cause this little light, I'm gonna let it shine. Racing to the ends of the earth. I know I'm probably not the first, but I'm gonna be the last one standing. Don't got a dream, just a mandate. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire. You know I can't stop 'cause I don't know how. This rolling thunder's gonna shake the ground. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire, and I'm never burning out. Never burning out, 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 burning out. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire. You know I can't stop 'cause I don't know how. This rolling thunder's gonna shake the ground. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire, and I'm never burning out. I get too deep sometimes in my own head. Unstitch the fabric to find a common thread. Got caught up in the hustle, forgot to love. Woke up in the rubble to a light from above. Racing to the ends of the earth. I know I'm probably not the first, but I'm gonna be the last one standing. Ain't gonna dream, just a mandate. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire. You know I can't stop 'cause I don't know how. This rolling thunder's gonna shake the ground. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire, and I'm never burning out. I'm diving to the ocean to face the storm. I'll bottle up these waves before they reach the shore. I know it's now or never to get what's mine. 'Cause this little light, I'm gonna let it shine. Racing to the ends of the earth. I know I'm probably not the first, but I'm gonna be the last one standing. Don't got a dream, just a mandate. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire. You know I can't stop 'cause I don't know how. This rolling thunder's gonna shake the ground. I'm chasing fire. I'm chasing fire, and I'm never burning out.
Well, hello. Whoop, hold on. There we go. Well, hello, everybody. Had to get that echo out of my ear. Welcome to Carl's Opinion, our late night call-in show. And this is Carl for Carl's Opinion. Anyway, you see the numbers down below there. You got the 775-273-8970 phone number. That's your live call-in phone number. Further, if you want to appear on a vMix video phone call, which will look something like this. Let me see here. Boom. That would be like me there, and you would be over here. And you'll appear live, and what you need to do is just send me an email to, that's my email address, ca2jogger@gmail.com. Probably should put that in the chat. Make it a little bit easier to maybe do a link on it. Kind of hard to do a link off a title, so let me put that in the chat there. And let's see, hold on. At gmail.com. There you go. So if you want to shoot me an email, just go ahead and do that, and we'll be good to go. And you can appear by live video call. Again, just put in the chat that you're sending me an email so I know to go look at my email, obviously. And let's see, let's cut back over here. Boom, there I am. Hey, so probably need to sit up a little bit so I don't have this thing in front of my face. Not very attractive looking. Like down here, not good. So we'll stay up here. But anyway, I got a lot of news to get to today. We'll get to the first story here. And let's go ahead and cut this over right here. Let's see here. Boom, boom. And let's bring this up a little bit so you can actually see the headline. Split over Pelosi's immorality comment on border wall. And let's see. There we go. All right, so you got a Washington Times is reporting split over Pelosi's immorality comment on border wall reveals fissure in Democratic Party. What they're actually talking about, when you go down and read through the article, and I'll bring it down a little bit here for you. And let's go ahead and get this title off here so you can actually see it there. And let's see, bring it down, bring it down. There we go. So basically, what they go into, but it's not that much, is Senate Democrats are not generally jumping up and down about Nancy Pelosi calling it immoral, the wall being immoral. I mean, they see it as a political issue, but they try not to use phrases like moral, immoral. I mean, they're the Democrats after all. They try to avoid God, except, well, unless you're a Muslim, then of course they praise that. But if you're anything else, they're not jumping up and down about it. So, I mean, that's pretty much what they're saying there. And it reveals a little bit of a split, not a big split in the Democratic Party, just to let you know. Nothing to write home about. But it kind of goes along the whole line of what she's trying to do right now. The House Democrats, they're the radical ones. The Senate Democrats, the Senate's always less radical than the House, whether it be Republican Party or the Democratic Party. The Senate, even though they don't have as many rules as they used to have, as far as being, more of a debating society and, I don't know, just more, almost like a more upper class, if you will, than the lower chamber. They still have a better decorum, and they still a lot more respectful when you notice their debates and everything. They're not really yelling and screaming at each other. They're kind of talking forcefully, whereas in the House you'll see people actually yelling, screaming at each other, calling each other names. It gets kind of disgusting. So the Senate Democrats are like, maybe you're going a little bit too far on this. The Senate Democrats know that there's a deal to be made here, and it probably needs to get made sooner rather than later. Let's see. Pretty good ones, Mr. Great Douchebag. Yeah, pretty good jokes there. Unfortunately, though, I disagree with the last comment. He was actually a pretty smart guy. He just uses genius for evil instead of for good. So I wouldn't give him the out of saying he had a low IQ. I think he knew what he was doing, and he had an agenda of his own. Unfortunately, a lot of us didn't get to know what that was, and until we got into like the middle of the second term, it was pretty much too late to do much about it. But yeah, so I would disagree just a little bit there on that last comment. But yeah, he knew what he was doing, and he set policies and agendas in place, put regulations in place to advance his climate change protectionism, if you will, to hurt the U.S. economy, to build up other economies around the world at our expense. The whole TPP trade deal was that about. He was going to build up Southeast Asia at the expense of the American worker, not really caring about the American worker too much. And it took a little bit of genius to figure out how to get all that done. The Paris Climate Accord, same thing. He was going to trash us, make us spend hundreds of billions of dollars to impose his vision of a world order where we were going to take it in the kneecaps, and the rest of the world is going to be allowed to skate. and it just, he definitely wasn't looking out for the working class, middle class of America. Unfortunately, but that's that. But again, I don't give him an out by saying he was dumb. He didn't know what he was doing. I mean, that's too much of an out. It's like when you say somebody, oh, they're crazy when they do something like criminal or violent. Oh, they must be crazy. Well, there are some people that will actually qualify for an insanity defense. But when you just point a big paintbrush at somebody and say, well, they're crazy, it kind of excuses their behavior. I'm not a big fan of excusing people's behavior, especially when I think it's bad behavior. So, I try to hold people accountable. Let's see, trying to deal with what would come if they keep pushing BS on the right. Yeah, well, I think the problem is with any party, and I agree with the comment, is like, as far as the left keeps pushing, their BS on the right, there's always going to be pushback. I mean, Democrats do this way more than Republicans. It's not a moral equivalency. Well, Republicans do it too. No, not really. They don't. They kind of cave a lot of times. But anytime you go too far one direction, the American population generally is either center left or center right, depending on what decade it is or which election cycle it is. And anytime you have someone on the left going too far too far left, you're going to get a lot of pushback. Excuse me, from generally the electorate. And I mean, you saw that with the election of Donald Trump. I mean, he was pretty much out there saying some really, I want to say outlandish things, but things that get people riled up. And people in the center politically still voted for him. Independents came out for him. Republicans obviously came out for him, but he didn't win just with Republican votes. There's no way you could say that. He won with a lot more than that. But yeah, without a doubt. And let's see, let me push this up here. Push the headline back up. There we go. Down here. There we go. Well, I'm not sure we want to see her face. We're going to take so much of that, so let's just kind of. There we go. We can do something like there, right about there, maybe. Okay, that's a little bit safer. There we go. I like that. I like that a little bit better. It's a little bit safer for everybody concerned. So, yeah, then we know we have to get. Oh no, she comes back again. You can't get rid of her. It's like, oh no. Okay, you gotta be careful. Uh, but yeah, just kind of playing around with that. Cortez has the ring by walking by a written exam. Now that one I agree with. Okay, that one she doesn't need an out. Cortez is just actually a dumb person. And the shame of it is, it kind of shows you the level of education in our country right now. She went to Boston College, which used to be a really, really great school, and she majored in economics of all things. And also, I think she had either a minor or she double majored in international relations, and she knows nothing about either. It's just amazing that she went through 4 years of college, uh, cost her or her parents or whoever quite a bit of money to go to that school, and she took 4 years of economics and international relations and doesn't understand anything about the Middle East crisis, doesn't understand about the conflict between the Palestinians and the Israelis, or anything about how the Sunni and the Shiite are working against each other or with each other on certain issues. Doesn't understand anything about that whatsoever. Doesn't understand anything about economics. I mean, one of the best statements I ever heard anybody make was that when they were asking her, saying, "Well, unemployment's really low," and then she responded right off the cuff, and something she can tell she believes, like she must have been thinking about this. Well, unemployment's only low because people are working two jobs. Well, that's no, that doesn't make any economic sense. You don't get counted twice if you have two jobs. The unemployment level is based on people working. Whether you have one job or 10 jobs, it doesn't mean like they count you 10 times. They count you once. And I mean, for her to come out and say something so stupid like that, I mean, it's just amazing that she was able to pull off that primary election against the Democrat she was running against. I think it was like number 4 in the House, and I think they took it. They figured she was so dumb. There's no way anybody would vote for her. Well, it was a very low turnout, so she got all the dummies in her district to come out and vote, and anybody who had half a brain, I guess, stayed home. But she's in Congress. I mean, that is our Republican form of democracy. People have a right to vote for stupid people. Not the first time, not won't be the last. A whole bunch of freshman congresswomen came in. You got people who are openly anti-Israel in Congress right now. People, one Congress lady, she invited one of the terrorist leaders from Hezbollah to her swearing-in ceremony, and this guy is just a complete nutcase. And then she said, "Oh, the right's over-exaggerating." Well, no, the guy gave a statement. He posted it like on Instagram or something, or Facebook, showing that he was there because he was wanting to brag about being there, and saying, "Yeah, we went to a private, reception at our house later, which is a few family and friends." Of course, he's one of the few friends. So, but nobody seems to have a problem with that, which is kind of crazy. Ben Shapiro talked about that a little bit, talking about the hypocrisy of the left when it comes to racism and anti-Semitism. I mean, you see that with the Women's March going on right now as well. A lot of people pulling out of the Women's March because it was Talika Mallory, I can't remember her name, and the other lady who's like running it. They're both, big anti-Semites, and they refuse to even just leave. They want to. I guess they get paid, so we're not resigning till our term is up. It's like, oh, there's a term, which means there's a salary, which means they don't want to go nowhere, and that's pretty sad. So there, there you go. See, George Soros right back going to back more for president candidates. Like Cortez, you bankrupt each state economically to push their socialist agenda, or at least they will try. Uh, yeah, I mean, he has like this hatred for like everything capitalist. He has this hatred for Europe. He has this hatred for America, and he wants to try to take down everything that America or Europe represent. And he's doing that through illegal immigration. He's doing that through migration. He's Hungary kicked him out pretty much and he's from Hungary. Kicked him out of Hungary. They shut down one of his. I think he had a university in Hungary. They shut that down completely. Let's see. She was pushed through by the radical elements in New York, just like Gillum was pushed through his primary. Agree. Gillum had a little more support, obviously, because he got the Democratic nominee for governor for the state of Florida, so he had pretty broad support in the entire Democratic Party in Florida. But you're right, he did get pushed through. He did outspend his opponents. That was a lot by George Soros money and also by his PAC money by running ads and media for him down there. So he was able to push his opponents out in the primary race. It came pretty close to almost beating Ron DeSantis there for the governor's race. I mean, it was a close race. That's why when Trump said, "Hey, this guy's got a future," he's not going any. I mean, it was almost like praising him, but kind of like politician to politician, but it was also kind of a warning shot for the Republicans. Like, hey, if you think this guy's going off and to the sunset, you're crazy. I mean, he came really close to becoming governor of the state of Florida. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. I think he's still held on to the. I think he's still mayor of Tallahassee or Jackson. God, I can't remember now. Can't remember. I mean, not Jackson, Jacksonville. He's either mayor of Jacksonville or mayor of Tallahassee. I can't remember which one it was. But he's still mayor. He had some potential corruption allegations against him, but I think he's probably going to skate by on that. I think that's pretty much going to go by the wayside. That's probably going to be a political decision not to go after him federally because it'll look like they're going after a prior candidate, and Trump would be hard pressed to do that because he's bitching and moaning about the fact that, hey, they're going after him and his family for political reasons. Which that whole thing, the leak that came out from the FBI proved that. Right wing opinions on the right wing billionaires fighting against the globalists. Particularly, which right wing billionaires are you referring to? I know we have one down in here in Vegas. I can't remember his name. I think he owns the Venetian Hotel. I think he's pretty much on the right, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm not sure which right wing billionaires we got on our side. To be honest with you. So if you know any, let me know. I think I think they got more money on their side probably. When you look at like the guys who own Google, the guys who own YouTube, the guys who own Facebook, guys who own Twitter, you know, they got gazillions of dollars, and of course they have platforms where they can, get their influence out. Tucker had a really good guest on, I think it was last night, and the guy's a liberal Democrat, and he's really concerned about how he thinks Google definitely influenced the last election, the 2018 midterms. In fact, he's coming out with a report in March. He says it'll be coming out in 2 months, and it's a really scary report. He thinks they actually, I can't the number of votes he said they actually turned. I can't remember now off the top of my head, but he thought it was quite a few votes. I wonder if I can pull that up. Let me see if I can pull that up. It might be a little bit hard to do. Let's see. Let's see. I'm gonna get over here. Mm, Let's see. So I can pull that up. Let's see. Give me a second here. Let me see if I can pull up that. I should have it on my history on YouTube. Let me see here. Well, actually, you know what? Yeah, let me see here. I always have to be a little bit careful with this because I don't have. Let's see, history. I don't have the best of internet speeds here. I live kind of in the sticks, so I don't have the best of internet speeds. Let's see if I can find it though. Oh, yeah, here it is. Let me see. Give me just a second. Bop. Mm-hmm. Yep, hold on. I gotta fix this now. Let's see. Whenever it's gonna come through right. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm getting it over. Yep. Yeah, I'm losing it. Okay, close out of here. Okay, hold on. Let me see here. Oh, I know why. Hold on. I apologize. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Here we go. I'm saying hold on, like as if what are you holding on to? I don't know. Sorry. Hold on. All right. Boom. Doing this on the fly. Doing this on the fly. This is behind the scenes with Carl's opinion. Let's see. Boom. Mm-hmm. Let's see. No, let's see. Yeah, let me see if I can get the sound in here. Mm-hmm. Well, can't seem to get that to play right. And let's see. Yep, not gonna be able to get that in there. I'm gonna close out of there. Boom. All right, sorry. I'm trying to get that on there, but I couldn't get it on there. Let me get me out of here so you don't see me twice. There we go. Yeah, I was trying to get it on there, but basically the guy was saying that he thought it was several 100,000 votes that had actually changed. I think he said it was anywhere from 800,000 to 1.4 million votes that he think Google had an influence over. Um, yeah, there he is right there. Let's see. Devo's family seems to be against the. Oh, the Devos family, Mercer family. So the Mercer family and the Devos family. That I'll be honest with you, I don't know those two. Either the Mercer family or the Devos family. Um, where are they at? Oh, Davos. I mean, like the guys over there. Well, no, that can't be Davos. No, because Davos is where the globalists go to hang out. So Devo's family and the Mercer family. Where are they located? Are they're in the United States, Mr. Douchebag. Are they in the United States? 'Cause yeah, I don't know. I don't know about it. See, Kathy Griffin of Chicago seems to be against Gillum and Soros. She wrote Ron DeSantis a nice check. Kenneth Griffin, rather, to help him compete in advertising against Gillum. Oh, see. I did not know any of these things. I did not know. I didn't know Kenneth Griffin. I don't know the Mercer family. I don't know the Devos family either. So thanks for bringing that to my attention. I did not know. I thought it was just the rich guys on the left versus like us, on the ground. But it's nice to know that we have. Give me a second. Nice to know we have a few people on our side with a few bucks in their pocket. That's always kind of nice to know. but, you know, but then just being just us, running around doing stuff. So that's good. Let's see. Let's get to some other news here tonight. What do we got? Oh, for those of you who like smoking marijuana, Treasury is actually urging Congress and the Fed to kind of come up with some new rules or regulations and laws regarding marijuana sales in banking. Because right now, banks are real skittish about getting involved in handling any transactions, whether having these marijuana grow facilities or dispensaries actually, open up bank accounts, put their money into their bank, because marijuana is still considered a Schedule One controlled substance, and they're afraid that if they put any money into the bank, that if the feds, get a bug up their ass, like the DEA, Merch family hate the Clintons from what I've seen about them. Oh, well, that's good. That's positive. But yeah, this marijuana thing. So the Treasury's coming back and say, hey, look, you guys need to do something on this marijuana stuff because these guys are pretty much putting their money into vaults. It's not getting into the banking system. The amount of money that's out there they want in the banks because that'll free up more money for the banks to loan to start businesses, for people to buy houses with, create a greater supply of money in the lending stream. So right now, Treasury is telling them, hey, kind of do something. Now, my guess is Treasury is pushing it on behalf of the banks because, let's be honest, the banks, whether they agree with marijuana or not, they want that money in their bank account, in their banks, on their balance sheets. 'Cause again, they want to be able to loan money. That's how banks make money. They make money by loaning money and charging, interest rates. Not just like when we get like a 30-year fixed loan, but I mean like short-term loans, hard, if you will, kind of like almost like a hard money loan from a bank with high interest rates, quick payments. You're talking 1 year, 6 months, sometimes where they call, I can't remember what they call those kind of loans, like bridge loans, to kind of just get you by a 30-day loan, 60-day loan, high interest rates. To get a lot of relaxation on the usury laws when they give those real short-term loans. The shorter term the loan, the higher interest rates they can charge. So anyway, so Treasury's pushing that. My guess is again the big banks, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, those guys, they're all pushing it too. Let's see, Democrat politicians have an IQ level of smoking weed. There you go, during military exercises, military operations. Yeah, well, maybe maybe a lot of people at Treasury smoke weed. Maybe it's another thing. Maybe that's why they wanna push this so hard. They're like, hey, we smoke weed, and yeah, allow them to put their money in the banks, and of course, by putting their money in the banks, also they get their own interest on it. Right now, they really can't do much with it. I mean, I guess if they go through a straw man and risk all kinds of illegality, they can, maybe invest in the stock market. Up, we got our first call in. Hold on. Up, that is an unknown person. I just let you know I do not take phone calls from unknown people. So if you wish to call, I have no problem taking your phone call, but I do not take blocked phone numbers. So if you call in with a blocked phone number, I will not accept your phone call. So that's not going to happen. So I mean, look, I'm not going to give your number out or anything. I don't. That's not who I am. I just don't do that. I'll probably just shout out your area code, to let you know it's you. Because I have call waiting and stuff like that. So if there's more than one phone call, that way you know who's actually on the phone. Did you know that progressive liberals gave me my first name to douchebag, but they forgot to put the great when they call me a Yeah, well, I think you go on like on Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that, and what do you go over to progressive sites like Young Turks or something and just kind of troll them or stuff? Because that's always fun going on somebody else's site to troll them and stuff. Like a moderator like on Access site, and I don't like I don't like trolls. I don't mind trolling. I guess I have a double standard. I'm allowed to do that. So I don't mind trolling on other people's sites, but is it a troll? I don't know. I got a prank phone call last night. Somebody called in. And I didn't catch it that it was an unknown number, and I just answered it, and they started saying all this vulgar, obscene stuff. You can see it as on last night's video. I think it's like 40 minutes in or something. Let me see. I think I wrote it down. Hold on. Yeah, it's like 40 minutes, 58 seconds in on last night's video. It's somebody called and left a really nasty, was saying something really nasty, and then I'm like, oh, so I better hang up. So I did, but it was an unknown number, and I forgot, to keep an eye on that because a lot of people do live call-in shows, don't take phone calls from unknown numbers just for that reason. Generally if somebody's gonna not block their phone call, they know you can always call them back, so they're going to call and say something stupid. You can just go, oh, really? Yeah, let me just call you right back. Hey, how you doing? Plus their area code and, the kind of people do that kind of shit. They don't want anybody to know who they are. They kind of want to, keyboard warriors kind of hide it, hide behind their monitors and their keyboards. Yeah, I'm just not into that. But yeah, I dropped I'm pretty heavy on the moderating key when I moderate for Axe. Um, I totally open to differing opinions and points of view as long as they're informed. I'm sorry, I'm not like, well, I'm about your feelings. If you're gonna state an opinion, at least make sure it's informed. I don't know, maybe you read an article. I don't care. Maybe even just watch a YouTube video. You know, um, I watched a YouTube video this morning. T West, who I like, he's part of actually the part of the Black conscious community. I mentioned his name on Access site a couple of times, and he was talking about something, like as far as like we just lost like 3 troops in Syria, and Trump wanted those troops out of there. And then, of course, the mainstream media uses that as an opportunity to say, "Oh, see, it's not safe. We need to stay there." It's like, no, just the opposite. It's not safe. We need to go. Because let's be honest, once we go, yeah, right on. But yeah, because once we're out of there, one, they can't attack us because we're not there. Two, once we leave, that's going to give the green light to the Turks and the Russians and the Syrians and the Iranians to go and clean the rest of this mess up. I mean, they're just going to go in there and be brutal to these assholes. And these assholes deserve to get brutalized. Sorry. I mean, they're dicks. Okay? I mean, they blew up that restaurant and took out, I think, 3 U.S. Military personnel. I think it took out some British guys, some Syrian guys, and it took out a bunch of civilians. I can't remember what the death toll was, but it was pretty high. Just real asshole-ish shit. And so, let the Turks have at them. Go for it. Now, people are somewhat worried about the Kurds. Well, the Kurds aren't getting their own country. Now, unless Turkey, Iran, and Iraq, and I think into parts of Syria too, decide to give them a land, a contiguous, area of land that spans through those countries. Well, Turkey's not giving up any land to the Kurds. Neither is Iraq, and neither is Iran. And once Syria gets their act together and they get back control of their own country, they're not going to be wanting to give up any land. The Kurds have just been annoying and bothering people for decades, and they keep talking about their old country and stuff. Well, their old country's gone. You know, I mean, tough. And we're not going to blow our relationships with Turkey, over the Kurds. So I mean, we got to protect the Kurds. I don't know. I agree. I think he will win in 2020. I think he definitely will win in 2020. Well, not definitely. I think if we get complacent, he'll lose. Okay, that's the whole thing. It's I remember The Simpsons. Bart was running for student president, and he had all his friends who were going to vote for him, and he was a cool guy. Everybody was like, "Yeah, Bart, we're going to vote for you." And then he had like a party, at recess, and that's when the voting took place. And so, they're all out there partying, celebrating his soon to be victory. Well, meanwhile, nobody was inside voting. Nobody went to vote. And so this dorky kid, won because it was like he won 2 votes to like 0 because him and his other dorky friend. It just shows if you get complacent, that's how you lose. And we can't afford that. We got to be tenacious like we were in 2016. We got to get out there. We got to go to these rallies. I mean, I'm going to try to hit in 2020. I don't know about you, but I'm going to try to hit as many rallies as possible. I mean, not just like down here in Vegas, but if you're like, you shouldn't. I think government shutdown would affect. Um, yeah, hard to say on how it's going to affect him in 2020. I think if he gets, this is what the Democrats are afraid of. If he gets the wall, or gets it funded somehow, or gets it built somehow, whether it's by declaring a national emergency or something, I think then the Democrats won't have that hammered him over the head with, saying, "Oh, see, he promises stuff, he doesn't get it done." That's a big thing they want. They want to be able to tell his supporters and get people complacent, or get people to stay home, or get them depressed and maybe not go out and vote. That's what they want to use this wall issue as. See, we stopped him, and then of course, like, they get a big victory lap. Oh, we stopped him. We're tough. We're better than he is. That kind of shit. So if he gets the wall, I think he'll be okay. Plus, the mainstream media is doing their best propaganda show right now. I mean, they're bringing up, this federal worker and that federal worker, and oh, I'm at home and I'm paying my bills, and oh, things are really tough. I kind of mentioned this a little bit last night on my video. It's like, go get a job. Where to say you're entitled to have a federal job? You're not entitled to have a federal job, and if you're considered an essential essential personnel, then that means even if the government shuts down and you're not getting paid, you still have to stay on your job. Well, you knew that when you signed up for it. I think the government shutdown would affect Trump in. Let's see. Yeah, Odinga. I think it affects it affects him to the point where if he doesn't get the wall built, I think that's how it affects him. I think if he succeeds in getting the wall built, this whole shutdown, how long it lasted, I think that'll be long since forgotten. And the 800,000 federal workers that are out of work, I think they did a poll. 2/3 of American people don't even really notice the. I think what do you think? We heard Trump would be caves to the Democrats. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think as long as he gets the wall done, I don't think the shutdown hurts. I think the shutdown gets forgotten pretty quick. If he doesn't get the wall done, then the shutdown and not getting the wall, I think that hurts him a lot. I think then he's in trouble because even though Trump has a pretty good core group of supporters, 43 to 45 percent, and that's why even 42 to 45 has been holding steady like that. I think some of those people might stay home in 2020, feeling like, well, their vote didn't mean anything in 2016. But I think I said, if he gets it done, I think he's in good shape. So I point out liberal and democratic logic. Yeah, well, there is a logic to both sides of the argument, that's for sure. There's a logic on the Democrat side, there's a logic on the Republican side. It's just you have to be able to point it. The problem with a lot of the Democrats is they don't want to recognize that we have a logic on our side. with them, it's just emotion. It just comes at you. Have you heard of the fundthewall.com or We Build the Wall, both are crowd? Well, I saw that crowdfunding. The only problem is, and I was mentioning this the other day, is that you can't. Only Congress can appropriate funds, so you can't just donate. Even if they say they raise $1 billion, they just can't donate $1 billion and say, here, this is for the wall. They can't earmark it. Only Congress can do that. The president can't even do that. Only Congress can, and Congress isn't going to earmark any of that money for building part of a wall. Now, what that guy was doing, uh, what he actually was going to do was, lease some private land, and some of the ranchers along the southern border leased their land and put a wall up at his own expense. And of course, with him going out and getting private bids, he was going to do it for like 10 times, literally 10 times cheaper than the federal government was going to be doing it for. So I don't know how much of the wall he's going to build, but I think if he starts like leasing some of this land and actually building some stuff, I think more people will probably donate to the building of it. Let's see. Trump may be declaring a national emergency soon to get the wall built, but he's trying to do it. Well, here's the problem with a national emergency. There is one downside to it. Okay, you got a lot of rhinos in the Senate, a lot of rhinos in the House. And declaring a national emergency for this kind of an issue, even though President Obama did it regarding, I think it was the swine flu back in 2009, but this is going to be high profile. This is going to be big publicity. National emergency, sending the troops down there, Civil Corps of Engineers down there to build a wall, taking money from other civil works projects, that kind of stuff. That's going to be a little dangerous. And I can put up the statutes. Let me see if I can get those here. Let's see. All right, give me a second. I can pull up I had the statutes the other night, so let me see if I can get those. Hold on. Okay, if I lose everybody, if for some reason I vanish, then I promise I will be back. So hopefully I don't vanish. What I'm about to do here. So let me see. Nope. Okay, I'm going to try to do something. I'm going to try to pull up the statutes I had up from the other night, so give me a second. Again, if I lose everybody, if I go away, I promise I'll come back. So, hold on. Let's see here. This might be a little bit tricky. Hopefully I'm still on. I don't know. Nope. Here we go. Bum, ba, bum, ba, bum. Everybody give me a second. Sorry, I'm doing this. No. Let's see. Here we go. Boom. All right. Let's see. Boom. Looks like I'm still on. Am I still on? Yeah, looks like I'm still on. All right. Let's see. Hopefully this will work. Let's see. Bump. All right. Yep, looked like it worked. Okay, hold on. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. Let's take this off. Boom. Boom. All right. What you've got there in front of you, that's, I believe, Title 33, U.S. Code, Section 2293. This talks about the actual national, declaring a national emergency. This is the statute that gives them the ability to do that. And so it says here, reprogramming during national emergencies, termination. Okay, let me just make sure I'm still up here. Yeah, it looks like I'm still up. Wow, go figure. But anyway, reprogramming during national emergencies. The termination or deferment of civil works projects, application of resources to national defense projects. Okay, in the event of a declaration of war or a declaration by the president of a national emergency, the secretary may terminate or defer the construction, operation, maintenance, or repair of any department of the Army civil works projects that he deems not essential to the national defense, and to apply those resources, the resources of the Department of Defense, of the Army Civil Works Program, including funds, personnel, and equipment to construct or assist in the construction, operation, maintenance, and repair of authorized civil works, military construction, and civil defense projects that are essential to the national defense. Now, in other words, the civil works that he can direct that money to have been previously authorized by Congress, signing the law by the president. Now, in 2006, I think it was 2006, Congress passed, and the President George W. Bush signed into law a border fence project, and to build additional fencing along the border. So it's already been authorized. I don't think it was for the full length, obviously, but it was for like another, I forget, 300, 400, 500 miles of border wall fencing. And then in 2009, Obama stopped the construction of that, but there's still like several hundred miles that were left undone. So theoretically, by declaring a national emergency, the Department of Army Corps of Engineers can come in and say, okay, we're going to finish this previously authorized bill. And I believe also in 2012, President Obama himself signed into law, and Congress passed, and then he signed into law an additional authorization for additional border fencing. So, again, we don't want to call it a wall because we want to call it a fence because everything's been authorized previously has been a fence. And the Democrats, as I said in a previous video, the Democrats kept wanting them to say fence instead of wall, and they kind of like stepped right into it because they had previously authorized a fence for that. Plus, there's another nice little statute on point, and let me pull that up. This is Title 10 U.S. Code Section 284. This is a funny one. I like this one. This is dealing with the support for counter-drug activities and activities to counter transnational organized crime. While the drug cartels obviously are transnational organized crime. Oh, good. Yeah, thanks. I'm glad you see me. Excellent. But the drug cartels are obviously transnational organized crime. And so this goes on to say, and I skipped a couple of sections, obviously. You can see the little dots. But anyway, by the appropriate official of a state, local, or tribal government in the case of support for state, local, or tribal law enforcement agencies. Now, that first paragraph I left in there, and that's important, because basically you have a state like Texas, totally red state. The governor's Republican, pro-Trump. The Attorney General for the state of Texas, Republican as well. So this is saying if a state actually can make that request to the feds for help with drug interdiction. So it's the state, local, or tribal law enforcement agencies. Okay, that's the first part. Or then, of course, the feds. So part B I left in there because it's talking about even state governments can make a request to the federal government saying, hey, we need help with drug interdiction. Now, Section 2, subsection 2 there, in the case of support described in subsection C, which is found down below, such support is requested by an appropriate official of a department or agency of the federal government. It would be most likely the Drug Enforcement Agency, which obviously not going to be a problem if they make the request, of the federal government, in coordination with the Secretary of State, that's Mike Pompeo, so obviously he's on board, that has counter-drug responsibilities or responsibilities for countering transnational organized crime. Again, the cartels. And then it goes on to say in the next section here, types of support for agencies of the United States. The purpose for which the Secretary of Defense may provide support under subsection A for other departments or agencies of the federal government or a state, local, or tribal law enforcement agencies are the following. And I skipped all the way down to subsection 7. And look at the language there. Look at that language. For the construction of roads and fences, and installation of lighting to block drug smuggling corridors across. Okay, let me just scroll down on this. I apologize. There we go. Boom. Okay, construction of roads and fences and installation of lighting to block drug smuggling corridors across international boundaries of the United States. Well, international boundary, that'd be the southern border with Mexico. And there's definitely drugs coming across. That's why we noticed in that speech Trump gave last week, he specifically mentioned, drugs coming across the border, drug interdiction. Obviously, his attorneys read this code section. Obviously, they they know it, and obviously they're saying, hey, look, and obviously you notice he said we're going to use the word fences because the Democrats want us to. Well, it's nice, but obviously somebody said, here, look at this. Use the word fences. Don't say walls, say fence. And, oh, by the way, talk about the drugs coming across the border, which are factually correct. Nobody's arguing about how many drugs we interdict. I mean, it's easily fact-checked. Nobody fact-checked it because you didn't have to because it's real. Um, so with this statute here, that even gives him the ability to, you know, bring in additional monies into if a request is made by DEA in coordination with declaring a national emergency. And this was brought up by, in my video, I gave credit to, God, I can't remember the guy's name, professor from Chapman University. He was on Tucker's show, and he also wrote an article, American Greatness, I think he was published in, and he brought all this up. So this wasn't my research, this was his. Yeah, he sounds like a really smart guy. Well, he must be because I'm using it, so obviously I think he's smart. So, I mean, between those two federal code sections, the fact that the wall's already been on the fence, sorry, I did it too. Gotta stop saying that. Train us to say just fence. So the fence has been authorized by a 2006 law, and actually the 2006 law was actually voted on in favor of by Chuck Schumer, by at the time Senator Barack Obama, and by at the time Senator Hillary Clinton. They all voted in favor of this, by the way. That's why when Clinton was on the campaign trail, when she saw Trump, her campaign saw Trump was getting traction on this immigration and the wall and everything, she said, "Oh no, I voted for barriers." You know, now she never came out and said wall. She wasn't going to go that far. She was, I voted for barriers, and she was right. She did. You know, all the Democrats voted for this, but of course now that Trump's president, now of course you know they're all against it, and now it's bad. You know, orange man bad. You know, that kind of shit. Of course, we all know the Ninth Circuit is going to give Trump a hard time. Yeah, no, that's another issue that Professor from Chapman brought up as well. Was that you can find a U.S. District Court. They're going to find a U.S. District Court judge to probably issue some kind of restraining order from the if he declares a national emergency from implementing it. Now, I don't think the U.S. District Court judge has the right, based on these statutes, to determine in a hearing what is or is not a national emergency. I think the U.S. District Court judge would be limited to whether or not it was properly executed. But what he could do is say, okay, look, until we have a hearing, a full evidentiary hearing on this, and both sides have to brief it, bring witnesses, drug enforcement agency guys, I'm going to issue a temporary restraining order halting the implementation. Now, normally temporary restraining orders you can't appeal right away. But I think this one, I think the Supreme Court would go to the Ninth Circuit first and then on to the Supreme Court. But I think even though it's known as an interlocutory order, I think potentially, since it is a restraining order, that could be appealed. I know a preliminary injunction could be appealed. You don't have to wait for the end of the trial to end of the case to actually appeal a permanent injunction. I think you can, and most likely the U.S. District Court judge would certify it for appeal, no matter how anti-Trump this judge might be. He would certify, in my opinion, that interlocutory order, preliminary injunction order, for appeal, so he could take it up. And I think once it gets taken up, it would have to go through the process. But once it got to the Supreme Court, I think the Supreme Court would definitely rule in the president's favor. Like I said earlier, Congress is the branch of government that is in charge of appropriating funds. Only Congress can actually do the appropriations, except when they cede that power over. And they did that in these two statutes that I brought up. They did that both in Title 10, where they're saying, okay, if, because of course everybody's anti-drug, so that's why this went through so quick, I'm sure. Say, okay, for this drug cartels, for international smuggling, if something has to move fast, you don't have time to get to Congress, get the appropriations, you can shortcut. We are giving away our authority on appropriations to the executive branch in case of an emergency drug interdiction crisis, which who's going to say there isn't one? And then also on the national declaring a national emergency, as you see on this statute here, Congress also gave away its authority on appropriations to specifically when a president declares a national emergency. Now, again, here's the downside I was bringing up earlier. Forget the courts. When the president declares a national emergency, the Congress can, by joint resolution, defeat that declaration. In other words, that's to make sure, let's be honest, let's make sure we don't get some nut in there, declares a national emergency and says we got to go, send out the military to take everybody's firearms. I mean, you get the same kind of nut. You get a nutcase going in the opposite direction. Executive branch, the president says, "Oh, we have a national emergency with gun deaths in the United States. Well, we have a lot of gun deaths in the United States. Again, a lot of those are suicide. I get it, but still, you can say, well, 1,000 are too many, right? So you get a president that does that. Now, what Congress can do as a check to that, and this is built into the statute, and not just check and balance, constitutional Article 1, Article 2 kind of stuff, but a check and balance in the statute where the Congress can actually pass a joint resolution between the House and the Senate. And my impression of the joint resolution is it doesn't have to be by 2/3 of the Senate, 2/3 of the House. It seems like a simple majority. So a simple majority in the House, which they would have to say, okay, we're ending the national emergency, and a simple majority in the Senate. Now, figure all 47 Democrats vote to end his ability to declare this national emergency not a national emergency, to put a halt to it. So you have 47. Well, you only need 4 Republicans to jump ship, and I think we can all think of 4 Republicans who would jump ship. I mean, you got Romney, he jumped ship in 2 seconds. Possibly Collins, she's got to get her street cred back from the Kavanaugh vote. Murkowski, same thing. She's who knows? And I'm sure we could find another couple of rhinos who would say, "Oh yes, this is terrible. We gotta end this." So say all 47 Democrats stick together. They vote to end the national emergency. You grab 4 more Republicans. It gives you 51 votes in the Senate. That gives you a simple majority, which on a joint resolution, I'm almost positive a joint resolution is by simple majority. So House, Senate, simple majorities, bam, national emergency over, all construction stops. Dunk. That's the downside. Downside is in the courts, because Trump can always point to the courts and say, "Oh, these activist judges," right? And knowing damn well by the time he gets to the Supreme Court is going to affirm the executive branch's authority that was given to him by Congress in both this code section and the other code section to take care of national emergencies and drug interdiction. They're going to say, "Congress, you gave him this authority." Okay? So it's not unconstitutional, and he's exercising it correctly. Boom, he's in. So the downside isn't the courts. The downside is the Congress. The downside are 4 rhino Republicans in the Senate, which is all they would need. That's the downside. Because then he loses. And then he's got, you can see the trucks are heading for the border to do the wall. And then all of a sudden, you get the joint resolution of Congress, and it has to come to a halt. And then he's going to have egg on his face. That's why he's holding off on doing this. People say, "Oh, how come he just doesn't declare a national emergency?" Why? Because he plays chess, not checkers. Okay? Life is about chess, not about playing checkers. They move, you move. No. When you move, you're thinking 3, 4, 5, 6 moves ahead. You're thinking what your opponent's moves are going to do. So what would his opponents do? They would convene the Congress, have a joint resolution, find 4 Republicans, peel them off, get 51 votes in the Senate, and then boom, the whole thing is over. And then Trump would have to try to spin it, try to say, "Oh, see, these Republicans are terrible." Well, that's not really a great spin. That's kind of shitty spin. Dr. Ford, hey, Dr. Ford, how you doing? Just jump by to say hello before bed. Yeah, it's getting kind of late up there. I'm on the West Coast, so for me it's only a quarter after 10. So yeah, it's still pretty early for me. And I get up early, but I don't need I'm getting older now, so I don't need as much sleep. Let me just write you real quick here. There you go. Yeah, I don't need as much sleep as I used to. Sorry if you posted that and I didn't see it right away. I was back in the production page, bringing up these statutes and stuff. But yeah, as you know, I'm a lawyer and I enjoy reading these statutes. I enjoy, trying to interpret them and see how they all kind of play together and everything. But I always enjoy. I love the law, so I love how everything interconnects and how everything relates to each other. And on these 2 statutes here, I think these 2 statutes give Trump the authority to declare a national emergency and to actually begin construction of probably, I think it's about 400 miles left of wall that he could probably still build. But unfortunately, I think Congress could come in and then end that pretty quick. So if I missed your doc, I apologize. But yeah, I was down there. I was down there in the production page. Like I was, I guess I could say I was like in the production room, like at CNN. Like I was in the production room. You know, the guys with the bells and whistles and stuff. But yeah, it's it's really interesting to see. You're good. Been working so much lately. You've been missing a lot. Oh, yeah. I've had the same problem. I missed a couple of Mr. Jackson's live streams. I caught part of them, but I missed a bunch of those. I caught Prophet of Thought last night, but I was able to catch, unfortunately, about 45 minutes, half hour of it, unfortunately. So yeah, I've been the same way over here. So I understand what you're doing. It's like, well, it's one of those things like you got to. Unfortunately, or fortunately, we're in a capitalist country, and you have to work to make money. So, unfortunately, it'd be nice to be able to sit on YouTube all the time and surf different people's YouTube sites and be there all the time. But unfortunately, we have to go to work and make money and pay our bills. Plus, I like being a lawyer. So, just like I'm sure I know you like being a doctor. So it's not bad getting off the YouTube and actually having some real fun doing actually helping people out and stuff. So that's not bad. But I do enjoy the YouTube. I mean, I enjoy the production part of it because I had to learn all this stuff. I got a mixing board. I saw Information Man had a mixing board. I got a mixing board, and just learning on how all this stuff works. It's been really challenging and exciting at the same time. When you finally put something together and actually your sound goes out, people's sound comes in. I mean, it's like I had a couple of videos I had to dump because things weren't working right. Been missing everyone, and you're right, yeah. Trudeau has the brain power of using a gecko. Dr. Ford, yeah, the great douchebag. He tells a lot of really good jokes, and you see Justin Trudeau using a gecko to drain the lizard. Oh God, yeah, there you go. That's good. Let's see what else others in the news today, and let's see. We're going to cut over to get the statue out. Boom, there I am. Yay! Up, get me out over here, so you don't have to see two of me again. So let's see what else is in the news. Let's see. Yeah, Mr. Douchebag, definitely a good one. I definitely like that joke, without a doubt. Excellent. All right, let's see. Oh, this is funny. See, I talked about T West video on the U.S. troops being killed in Syria and why we need to go. Let's see. We talked about the Treasury. Oh, and also I got a kick out of this. Trump cancels Pelosi's free flight. On board of I think one of the Air Force planes to. She was going to go to Europe and I think also Afghanistan. She said, "Oh, I was going to meet with the troops and see how they're doing." Like as if the troops want to meet with Nancy Pelosi. Yeah, a bunch of America-loving, flag-waving, red-blooded Americans want to meet with Nancy Pelosi. Yes, I'm sure that would just make their day. Oh yeah. All right. See, there's another article I saw today in the Washington Times talked about existing border barriers actually work, and there's lots of statistics out there. Though it's not fake news. Lots of statistics out there showing that wherever there is a wall or a nice structure, barrier, fence. Again, we're going to use the word fence from now on. Have the brain power of starting. Great seeing you, Carl, my brother. Keep up the good work. Promise to catch more of your shows when life slows down later. Yes, doctor, have a good one. But yeah, unfortunately, life doesn't slow down too often. But anyway, hopefully you get some rest. And thank you. Definitely thanks for joining the chat and coming by and visiting the site. Yeah, I try to do a video a day. So thanks for coming by. All right, Doc. Hope you have a really good one. But okay, let's see what else we got in the news. Let's see. Cruz, Cruz, okay, Senator Ted Cruz said today that Nancy Pelosi, the reason why she's canceling the State of the Union address is because she's terrified of Trump speaking directly to the American people during the State of the Union address. I agree with that because for her first reason, she came up with was, the Secret Service isn't going to provide good security because they're not getting paid. And of course that insulted everybody. I mean, she insulted the entire Secret Service, like as if they're going to say, "Oh, we're not getting paid, so look, there's a jihadist with a suicide bomb wrapped around his body. He's heading right into the Capitol. And look, there's a president, there's a vice president, there's a speaker. There's a Senate Majority Leader, a Senate Minority Leader, there's the House Majority Leader, there's the House Minority Leader, and he's going to blow up the entire, all of our entire government right now. And look, there's the Supreme Court sitting down there too. Yes. Well, we're not. You know what? I didn't get paid last week, so I'm just going to let this jihadist go in there and blow the whole place up. Of course not. That's not going to happen. You know. Amy D. Hey, Carl, just listening. Love reading statutes too. Yep, totally agree with you on that. But let's see. But I mean, the Secret Service wasn't going to let anybody walk in the building and blow people up because they didn't get a paycheck last week. Again, they're essential personnel. They know when they took the job that there would be times when they wouldn't get paid, but they would not be allowed to not work. It goes with the territory. You get a lot of benefits by being in those essential personnel positions, whether it's TSA, Secret Service, or whatever. And they knew that when they signed up. And of course, Secret Service, they're very proud of the work they do. Nobody wants to lose anybody on their watch, and they were going to protect them. So then Pelosi changed her thing. Well, she goes, well, I don't think it's right that they should have to work to protect us when they're not getting paid. Well, they're working anyway, dummy. I mean, they're on the job anyway. They're not like. I mean, you might need some extra Secret Service protection or extra Capitol Police, but not a lot. And of course, this is a big event. They get a kick out of this stuff. They get all geared up for it. They get adrenaline starts rushing. They're constantly thinking their brains are going a mile a minute. So her excuses were just BS, and it really came down to she didn't want the president addressing the American people. She saw what happened when that happened last week. The president came across as very intelligent, and then of course you had former Chuck Schumer and his former wife Nancy Pelosi standing stiff as boards, giving their response. And even if they don't give the response to the State of the Union, they know whatever Democrat they choose, because every one of them is gonna be terrible. Is in comparison to Donald Trump is going to be awful. I mean, Trump's going to be up there giving his presidential address, be in front of the whole Congress, and whether he gets booed or he won't get booed, but whether people stand up or they don't, he's still going. Whether they stand up or they don't stand up, he's still going to look very presidential, and they're going to look like idiots. And Pelosi doesn't want those optics. That's the real reason. All right, next story. Trump has not sent any new nominations to the Senate for U.S. District Court judge positions. Well, he knows it's not going. He knows they're not going to go through right now because there's too much going on. Plus, at the same point in time, since he has a government shutdown, politically speaking, probably not the best thing in the world to do. So that makes sense. He's appointed more U.S. District Court judges, more Circuit Courts of Appeal judges, more U.S. Supreme Court judges in his first 2 years than any other president for the entire term, an entire single 4-year term. So, he's doing a really excellent job. If he has to hold off on nominating a few people right now, it's not the end of the world. They don't have to get they don't have to worry about any kind of filibuster or anything like that because of the rule Harry Reid put into effect regarding U.S. District Court judges. Just in a simple majority. So I mean, they could theoretically get them through, although the committee hearing would probably be a disaster for all of them, I'm sure. But still, if he had to, he could get them through. But I'm not losing any sleep that he's not. Excuse me, I had to light a cigarette up there. So let's see, what do we got next here on the news cycle today? Let's see. Oh, the Gillette commercial still catching some heat. If you haven't seen that Gillette commercial, you probably should. But that's I don't know. I guess people just have a problem with men being men. And men being men is why we're all here alive. I mean, you know, as far as advancing, humanity, as far as providing protection and security, as far as doing a lot of the heavy lifting in society, literally heavy lifting in society. That's generally what men were built for. We have 40% more upper body strength than women do. I mean, a lot of construction jobs, building buildings, stuff like that. I really don't. I worked in construction. I really wouldn't want a social justice warrior, snowflake type guy next to me when we're talking about hauling up a big piece of drywall. And then I have to yell something out at him, and he's like, gets his feelings hurt. And meanwhile, I'm still sitting there on the scaffold waiting for the drywall to come up because I'm worried about this guy starting to cry. That's not what I want. And so I think women have to let men be men, I tell you what, we'll make you a deal. We'll let you be women, you let us be men. We'll call it even, and I think everybody will be happy. All over again. I think when we start getting confused and mixing up roles, I think that's when things go south very quick. Let's see, Mister. And God, you do a good job. It's a brain pretzel. uh, Yeah, I think I'm not sure referring to Mr. Douchebag there, or myself, but yeah, Mr. Douchebag. Let's see what he just wrote. I think Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are very nervous. They know the American people are sick and tired of their BS, and people are rising up again. That's true, and I think that's what the election of Donald Trump represented. It's like the people who pay the bills in this country never. I mean, working middle class people pay most of the taxes, about 83% of the taxes in this country. Actually, a little bit higher, maybe like 88%. And so, yeah, real women love strong men. Yeah, see, exactly. So, but working middle class people pay like over, I think it's over 85% of the taxes in this country that go into the treasury. And but nobody was speaking up for us. We didn't have a voice. Unless you were into identity politics or you were rich and a multi-gazillionaire or super poor, like you had no money. I mean, you like just broke, you're homeless. The people in the middle who were paying the bills never didn't have a voice, and Donald Trump gave us that voice. And he told us it was okay for us to speak up and be mad and yell and scream and yell and scream at his rallies because he was yelling and screaming too. And those rallies were fun. I liked them. They were good. So, and I think the Democrats are afraid of that. It's all about power with them. And they just want us to be quiet. You guys just keep going to work, breaking your backs, paying your bills, paying your taxes. Keep us employed, but shut up. We don't want to hear your opinion. Well, Trump says, well, okay, tell you what, you guys are paying the bills. Let's hear from you. Let's hear your opinion. What do you want done? When it came to trade deals with the European Union, trade deals with China. Those tariffs were put in place in the European Union years ago to help build up Europe's economy after World War II. Well, think about how long ago World War II was, or the 50s, or the 60s. I mean, you're talking the 60s were, 50 years ago. 1950s were 70 years ago. World War II was, I don't know. Well, no, I skipped a decade. 50, 60, and then World War II was 70 years ago. So, to that end, we don't need to help Europe anymore. They shouldn't have any tariffs on any of their goods, and if they have tariffs, we should have equal amount of tariffs. Same thing with China. The hope was that, gee, if we bring China into the World Trade Organization and we get them, they'll become better people. They'll become more democratic. Well, that was stupid. It was a dumb idea. It hasn't helped them at all. And I think some of that's disingenuous because some of the people who are pushing for China to be part of the World Trade Organization and get most favored trading nation status, they didn't really care if China became a democracy or not. They didn't really care if they had military ambitions in the South China Sea or against us. They just wanted to do business with China and willing to sell their own companies out, willing to sell their own technology out, American technology to the Chinese so they get rich and then be bought out by the Chinese company and go away gazillionaires. So, a lot of people who were in favor of this Chinese deal was just looking about lining their own pockets. They sure as shit didn't care about America or the working class or the middle class. That's for sure. There's nothing to evidence that they cared about anybody except themselves and lining their own pockets. And so, but Trump came along and gave us all a voice and said, hey, you should be mad, you should be angry, and he did it. And people came out and responded. I mean, he won those Midwestern states. He flipped over 200 counties. Well, I think it was a little over 200 counties that President Barack Obama had won in 2008 and 2012. And those same people who voted for Barack Obama twice, that includes me, so you can get mad at me and yell at me, but I voted for Barack Obama twice also. So if you want to yell at me, I don't give a shit. Tough. I'm a smart guy, and I vote the way I want to vote, and I have my own reasons. If anybody wants me to explain it to him, I will, but so be it. But anyway, the same people who voted for President Obama twice voted for President Trump. And it was probably some of the same reasons, actually. It's just that Trump actually is doing what he said he was going to do and isn't sugarcoating it and all. I mean, he's. I love his rhetoric. I love the fact that he talks straight. He says it the way it is. I love that, and that's Because we just want to be talked straight to. We just want to know what's going on. We don't want somebody to make it sound better than it really is. If things aren't going so good, we want our president to tell us that. Hey, man, we're losing money to China. We're losing jobs to China. We have a $500 billion a year trade deficit. We need to fix that. And I like that. And he's blunt. Good. I don't need a lot of, signaling. I just want to hear the actual, words coming out of his mouth, what he thinks. Definitely the most transparent president we've had, without a doubt. And, um, media complains about him all the time with calling them fake news, but, hell, he gives them all the headlines. He's always talking to the press. He sees a camera and he sees a reporter with a mic. He can't help himself. That's great for them. They actually get access to a president that they never had before with anybody else. Definitely way more access than they had with President Obama. Oh God, it's not even close. How many press conferences are being held? How many informal times he talks to the press when he's heading out to the helicopter pad? Anywhere again. If you're a member of the press and you want to get an interview with him, hell, just show up with a camera and a microphone. He'll talk to you. You know. Excuse me again. Okay, let's see what else is going on in the news today. Democrat politicians have the brain power of collecting. Definitely, yeah, totally. The most transparent president we've ever had, without a doubt. I mean, if how many times have we had a president in my lifetime where if you want to know what they're thinking, you just have to like before we had Twitter, open up the newspaper, and there he was telling you what he's really thinking. And today we have Twitter. If you want to know what he's thinking, it's not hard to do. Just get on Twitter and just look at his comments. He's telling you exactly what he thinks, and he's telling you why he thinks that way, and he's telling you what he wants to do, and then he goes and does it. So it's not like, gee, big mystery. You gotta pull back this mystery and say, oh, what's he really mean? No, you know what he really means. He just told you, and he told you in a very obnoxious way. Good. Let's see what else we got. Oh, Mike Pence was upset that a lot of the reporters were going after his wife regarding Christian education. I guess talking about wanting I guess wanting to have her kids educated in Christian schools and stuff, and how the media were going after her on that. That kind of blends into another story. There's a site I watch. It's Dr. Steve Turley's site, and I can't remember the name of the site off the top of my head as I sit here right now. Let's see, what is it? I watch it every day, and I'm sub to his site. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Steve Turley. Let's see. Let's see. If I lose anybody, I apologize. Let's see. History. Mm-hmm. Let's see. I think that's just the name of his site, Dr. Steve Turley. Yeah, that's who he is. But anyway, I'm subbed on his site, and he was talking about how in New York they're passing an ordinance to. Let me zap out of here. Boom. They were passing an bang. There we go. They're passing an ordinance to. Let's see, not doing anything good. We're so good. That would allow public school officials to go into private schools like Catholic schools, Jewish schools, independent schools, and determine whether or not their curriculum was meeting the standards held by the public schools, whether the kids were learning at the same level as the public schools, which of course is kind of funny because most people save. In fact, the rabbi was talking about that when they said, no, we're not letting these people into our schools, because the rabbi was saying, look, our people save up money and beg, borrow, steal, get enough money to send their kids to private schools because the public schools suck. So they were actually going to have these public school officials go into the private schools and say, oh, this is what you're doing wrong. It's like, no. If you guys are doing it right, trust me, parents would be more than happy to let their kids go to public schools and not have to pay thousands of dollars a year in tuition, just to go to a private elementary school, a private junior high, or a private high school. So they said, no, we don't want you here, go away. Because this is what this is really about. Turley took it on the saying, well, they don't like the competition. But it's more than that. See, right now they're trying to force all this curriculum through these kids, all this transgender stuff and everything like that to make your kids, be indoctrinated. Well, a lot of parents send their kids to private schools. They don't want to get indoctrinated, and if they go to like a religious school, they can say, hey, freedom of religion, and you can't force this religious school to, teach about transgenderism or something. It's probably a good argument. They probably win on that in front of the Supreme Court, saying, look, this is a religious school. We came here for a reason. We sent our kids here for a reason. We don't want them getting indoctrinated. So they can probably win on that issue. And in fact, let me just put this back up here. I'll put the call-in number back up. Bang, there I am. Let me set up a little bit. There we go. Boom. Let's see. All right, make sure I keep the mic close here. It's the dynamic mics. If you're not like right on top of them, it's not like a what do they call it? Not a compressor mic, something else mic. Like the Blue Yeti, you can kind of sit far away. In fact, you're supposed to sit far away. But these dynamic mics, you don't sit right on top of them. You're not going to be heard. So anyway, the back to the private school, Catholic school stuff. So anyway, the real point of this is that they're pushing all this curriculum in the public schools, whether it be transgenderism, identity politics stuff, anti-man stuff. They're pushing all that hard, and they're afraid that these private schools, they're not getting that indoctrination. So what they really want to do is go in there and make sure that, and force them to teach the same curriculum being taught in the public schools regarding, again, transgenderism, anti-man, identity politics, globalist ideas, all this crap. And they have the ability, if they say, well, you're not living up to the standards we have in public school, which of course is nice and vague, and we're going to shut you down. And then once they shut the school down, if the parents don't enroll their kids in public school or another private school, within so many days, the kid's considered truant, and then they want to lock the parents up for not having the kids go to school. And it's not just, let me tell you, it's not just going to happen here in the private schools. I'm kind of surprised they went for the private schools first, because that's where there's money and there's people and power and votes, and they can, go to the state legislators. A lot of these religious organizations, have a lot of political power in the various capitals in various states, and definitely in Albany, New York. I'm surprised they went after the private schools first. I thought for sure they were going to go after the homeschooling first, and making sure that the curriculum of the whole homeschooling was living up to public school curriculum, and make these parents, even when they're homeschooling, have their kids take exams on transgenderism, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, there would have been, let's see, NED, it's all good, the spell check on my phone is retarded. We can show that. Nope. There we go. There we go. Let's see, school and parents. Yeah, I agree. The schools are, let's see, NED, I do, okay. The schools are holding parents hostage. Exactly. That's exactly what they're doing. And again, I'm surprised they didn't go after the homeschooling first, because if they'd gone after the homeschooling first, again, they don't have a lot of political power. These are people who are at home. They're not part of a school organization. There's not like 500 of them that all hang out together and go to PTA meetings and stuff and can talk and write letters and emails to various state elected officials, state assemblymen, state senators, even the governor, if you will. And then they could have got it done that way, then gone out to the private schools. But they went out to the private schools first, and that was a mistake, because now there's all kinds of pushback. I mean, there's lots of money involved. Because let's be honest, a lot of rich people send their kids to these private schools. A lot of rich parents rather send their kids to these private schools, and they got money. A lot of them are very politically powerful. And the last thing they're going to want to do is have the public schools coming in and telling, their teachers, their principals, their superintendents of their schools what to teach. Again, they sent their kids to these private schools to get away from public school, to get away from all that nonsense. And with the kind of money that these parents have, hopefully this will stop this dead in its tracks. I just hope it does, Trying to get another cigarette out of here. I apologize. Yeah, kids, don't smoke. Remember, smoking is bad. Don't do this. Do as I say, not as I do. Carl, I know what you mean by voting the way you want. Independent. I'm independent, but I don't know that anybody could vote Democrat at this point unless they hate this country. I miss the blue dog Democrat. Yeah. At this point, no. You'd have voting for the Democrats right now, considering how far left they've gone. They're not. They're not the Democratic Party of the 1990s. They're not even close. They're not even they're not even the Democratic Party of 2008. Even just 10 years ago. It's a completely different party. I mean, the left has definitely taken over. I mean, the last time the Republicans had such a kind of a challenge to their party, you have to go all the way back to the 1960s with the John Birch Society, and William F. Buckley pretty much ran them right out the door. I think it was William F. Buckley and also God, I'm gonna forget his name. Can't remember his name. Damn it. But pushed them right out of the party. They were trying to infiltrate the Republican Party. Say, "Oh, we're Republicans too. We want to be with you guys," and they said, "No, you're out." Now, the thing with the Democrats is they're not running these people out the door. They're embracing them. They're embracing the Cortezes and that Muslim Congress lady from Michigan and this other Muslim lady from I don't know where, maybe Minnesota. I don't know. They're embracing these people and they're making excuses for them. And these people they're talking their anti-Semitism. Even Cortez was talking anti-Semitic during the campaign. And they're embracing. They're saying, "Hey, that's fine." Whereas Republicans we'd kick people like that out. I mean, we just had that whole Steve King controversy thing. I mean, whether you agree or disagree with them, what they did to Steve King, the Republicans still just stood up and said, no, we're not even gonna have anybody close to that. Whether he was right or wrong, we don't care. We don't even want the brand associated with us. That's generally what Republicans do. But Democrats, oh my God, hey, everybody come in. Every psychopath, every socialist, every anti-Semite, every bigot. Yeah, you're welcome to the Democratic Party. Please come on, come all. And that's a real shame of it. And they've been hijacked, and they seem to be enjoying it because they stopped talking to the middle and working class part of this country a long time ago. They're the party of labor unions. They're the part of middle class folks. Factory workers, construction workers, that kind of thing. And they stopped supporting their interests a long time ago. So I guess they figured we have to go get votes from somewhere. That kind of circles back all the way to the illegal immigration issue. They need votes from somewhere. They're losing the black vote as we speak. NAACP poll at Trump at 22%, which is even on the low end, but still 3 times higher than what the mainstream media said he had among black voters. You got a silent black vote. We were talking about that with Axe and also with Anthony Bryan Logan. They call it the ghost vote. You have a lot of black people who don't want to admit they voted for Trump, but they did. Again, I brought this up the other night. I think the hidden black male vote gave Trump victories in both North Carolina, not both, but several states. North Carolina, we had Charlotte, the city of Charlotte, in Wisconsin, the city of Madison, in Milwaukee. A lot of black people live in those cities. Michigan, a lot of black people obviously living in Detroit, Flint, Lansing. Ohio, we have a lot of black men living in Cleveland, Cincinnati. Pennsylvania, a lot of black people living in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. Uh, you know, I think the hidden black male vote gave him victories in that. There were small percentages that he was able to win by, so they're losing the black vote. Trump got 30% of the Latino vote. In other words, Latinos who are here who are established, and if this immigration thing gets taken care of, that number will only go up. Okay, you get a lot of single issue voter Hispanics right now that want immigration fixed one way or the other. And I think once it gets fixed, then you'll see George Bush got 42% of the Hispanic vote in 2004. 2004, he got 42%. Trump gets 30%, saying that Mexico is sending us their rapists and their murderers, and he still gets 30%. So they're losing the established Latino vote. They're losing the black vote. They have to go somewhere. They got to go somewhere for their votes. I guess they can go after the Muslim vote now, which is not a lot, but they're definitely going after the illegal immigrant vote, or recently arrived immigrants, people who haven't been here for generations. Because otherwise, they have no relevancy. They have no base. I mean, what's their base going to be? They lost white women last election. I think Trump got 53.5, 54% of the white women vote last time. They lost the working class whites. In my opinion, they lost to working class, middle class blacks as well. Probably upper middle class blacks as well. Probably rich blacks as well, whether they say so or not. I guarantee they're in favor of those tax cuts. Just let's be honest. I was watching SNL, and what was that comedian, the guy that went crazy and had to go? Oh, Dave Chappelle. And so after Trump got elected, Dave Chappelle was hosting the show. And so they turned to Dave Chappelle and they say, "Hey, are you moving to Canada because Trump got elected?" And Chappelle's like, "No, man, I'm going to stick around, man. I want to check out some of these tax cuts." I was like, "Hey, man, I'm making some money now. I think I'll stick around for these tax cuts." And it was a joke, but I think in many ways it was serious. So again, the Democrats have to go somewhere for their votes, or they become irrelevant on the national stage. They can pick up maybe a House seat here, these House seats there, some Senate seats, but as far as a national election, a presidential election, the math just isn't there. I mean, they'll always get California. Okay, big deal, you know. Uh, but as far as picking up other states in the center of the country, they're trying their best right now to turn a lot of states blue. Nevada got turned blue. But again, I think once this immigration issue gets taken care of, I think you see Hispanics coming over to the Republican Party like they did in 2004, and I think at higher numbers. 2004, remember, they only came over with a promise of immigration reform. Just a promise. We're going to get this done after the election. I think it's a gang of 8. But they never got it done. But just with the promise, he got 42%. So then, again, if this immigration issue gets finished one way or the other, I think you're seeing a lot of Hispanics jump over the Republican Party. I've always said I think Hispanics are natural Republicans, pro-family, anti-abortion, pro-law and order. They live in some really tough neighborhoods. Again, they're pro-family. A lot of stay-at-home moms. You have a lot of kids. They're worried about their children being safe on the streets. These gangs running around. You have a lot of Hispanic small businesses. The Hispanic Chamber of Commerce came out in favor of the Trump tax cuts. They want low taxes. Again, pro-law enforcement, anti-crime, pro-family, anti-abortion. They're natural Republicans. Okay, they're religious. They believe they're Christians. They're Catholic. Not welcome by the Democratic Party anymore. They have to go somewhere. Hey, Republicans, we're right here. Come join us. So, but again, the Democrats are counting on the recently arrived immigrants, illegal immigrants, people voting illegally. I mean, the shenanigans that went on in Georgia and Florida, and I'm sure other places, Arizona, but those are the ones that we noticed were insane. I mean, some of the things that went on in Georgia were crazy. I mean, there were people on YouTube who were actually in Georgia saying they went to the polls, and they go to vote, and they said, "Oh, you already voted." It's like one guy's like, "No, I didn't. I would know that if I came in and voted." "Oh no, you sent in an absentee ballot." The guy's like, "No, I never did." That's a lie. That's somebody's committing fraud using my name and voting in place of me. So they gave him an absentee ballot, but I mean a provisional ballot to vote with. But still, I mean, there were numerous cases, thousands of cases like that in Georgia, just Georgia alone. And the Democrats are trying to say, let me grab some water. The Democrats are trying to say that, oh, they're suppressing votes. Well, a lot of these votes they were suppressing were illegal aliens. Oh, you're suppressing votes, and of course they try to play up the race card by saying, oh, they're suppressing black votes. Well, it's funny. The black conscious community, black first community, has been kind of on this illegal immigration thing pretty hot and heavy. And so when they threw that out there, the black conscious community was the first to say, oh, no, they didn't. No, they're not. They're not suppressing our votes. We're voting. We're fine. It's not us. Yes, and those of us who are, previously convicted of a felony, we can't vote. That's not who they're suppressing. They knew what the Democrats were really saying. The voters that were being suppressed were not black voters in Georgia. They were illegal aliens. They were being legally suppressed. Because if you're illegal, you're not a U.S. citizen, you're not allowed to vote. Okay? And so when they did that, the black conscious community immediately pushed back on it loud and loud and loud. And a lot of those yelling and screamings about, suppressing black vote went away because they were jumping on top of it. And again, Georgia's one of those places where you had you had black men actually voting for the Republican Kemp for governor and that. So much and I know that's true. It's not just me saying it. It's not just the black conscious community saying it. Roland Martin did a big piece on his radio blasting black men in Georgia and also in Florida for not voting for Gilliam and also for it's not Shirley. Who is it? Axe calls her Shirley. What's her last name? Woman who's running for governor in Georgia. What is her last name? God, I can't remember now. Shirley. But it's not Shirley, though. It's something else. But anyway, but he came out yelling and screaming at black men for not voting for her in Georgia and not voting for Andrew Gillum in Florida because he knew it. He knew what happened. He's not stupid. He knew what happened. So, it's 2020 is going to be an exciting election year. I'm waiting for that report to come out in March. The guy that Tucker had on the show last night, where Shirley, yeah, exactly, Shirley. What's her last name? Damn it! God, without me looking it up, what's her last name? Shirley, Shirley, Shirley. Damn it! See, when you get older, your brain you lose your brain. Shirley needs to return home where the buffalo roam. That is one big woman. That is for sure. Definitely one big woman. But if you know, I know one of you two knows Shirley's last name, and I can't remember it to save myself. So, but uh, but yeah, it's gonna be an interesting year. But again, I am running for that report to come out from that guy that was on Tucker Carlson last night. He's talking about how Google influenced the election. He's thinking somewhere like I think 800,000 to 1.4 million votes nationwide. And depending on where those votes were, that could change an election. And if that number goes up in 2020, it could really change it. So hopefully, when he publishes that paper, hopefully the Senate, the Republican-controlled Senate, will have committee hearings on it. Um, because the House won't have any hearings on it, but hopefully the Senate Republicans, bring in. They hold all the committee chairmanships. Again, they got a 53-47 majority lead right now. So they have subpoena power. They can bring this guy in, and it turns out basically, what this guy was finding, that the CEO of Google was actually lying. So that might be worth looking into, because this. I mean, it's bad enough that they're suppressing a lot of conservative voices on YouTube because they saw what happened. There was an alternate form of news that you could go watch and get the truth about what was going on in the campaigns without relying on the mainstream media. And it wasn't that these guys were putting out propaganda; they were putting out the truth. It just happened to be the opposite of what was going on in the mainstream media, which were a bunch of lies, falsehoods, and propaganda on their own. So they realized, oh nuts, we got to suppress that. And then it's not only that bad, but they have to actually suppress the conservative voice, uplift the left voice, and push that voice forward. Even I think the story that Tucker was running with was that when people who are anti-abortion were doing searches on Google looking for stories on anti-abortion, they were getting all these pro-abortion platforms like CNN and stuff, and that so they couldn't even get their own information because the search results were being suppressed against pro-abortion sites in favor. I mean, anti-abortion sites in favor of pro-abortion sites. So you couldn't even get any news. And let's be honest, most people get their news nowadays online. I subscribe to the Washington Times. Probably a good idea, but that costs you a few bucks, and you got to subscribe. But free news is like on Google. Unfortunately, if Google is skewing their when you type in a search and you're getting a bunch of liberal answers, then you think, oh, well, that's Stacey Abrams. Thank you, Mr. I was going insane for a second there. I couldn't remember her name, but like we didn't know already. Yeah. But hey, if any of you guys want to call in, there's the call-in number, 775-273-8970. And if you want to appear on a vMix video call, live video call, you can type in my email address, and I'll put it here in the description as well. And you can send me an email. Just put in the description that you're sending me an email, and I mean in the chat room, you send me an email, then I will send you a link. It's really simple. You get this great link, whether you're on a cell phone, laptop, desktop, doesn't matter. As long as you have Google or Firefox on your phone, you can do it. So you get this. So I send you a link, right? You click on the link, and this little box appears. You punch in your username, and you hit join, and then bang, you're on, and it looks something like. Let me cut away here. Looks something like that. And so basically, I'll be here where I am right now. You'll be over there where that black screen is, and you'll be on live video call. It's really super simple. I use vMix for production. I'm on their 60-day free trial right now, which is awesome. And then when you pay one-time fee, it's a good fee forever. A lot of their upgrades are every upgrade they do is free. So I mean, they're happy with the fees they get. I mean, I'm sure they'll find a way to charge you more money later for something. You know, I'm sure. I mean, they're in business to make money. They're out of Australia, actually. It's actually an Australian company. And all the guys, you know, they talk a little bit with Australian accents. But these guys are like really smart. And basically, the kind of show you a little bit here. Let's see. Let me close out of one here. Let's see. Add input. Let me see if I can push it up here. Let's see. Remix. Nope, that wasn't it. Let's try something else. Add input. Okay, let me see if I can show you a view of what vMix looks like. And this might be it. Let's see. Yes, here we go. Let me show you this. Okay, this is vMix. Let me take this off here. Boom. This is the vMix production that I use. I mean, check this stuff out. This is like really cool. Okay. So like up here along these top boxes, there's like my webcam, that's an input. There's the audio, that's another input. This is the vMix thing, that's an input. This is double box setup, that's an input. Box number 4. There's a setup little pattern there. Title, box number 5. See the little red thing? That's a title that I superimposed over the video. 6, that was a title I imposed on the video, letting you know that the call-in was going to start earlier. And then you scroll down here, and this is scoreboard. This is where I use on the top title where it says Carl's Opinion. This is the time clock. I don't know. I know Mr. Douchebag was here earlier and he saw the clock ticking down. That's really cool. And let's see. This is a song that I imported. So that I was playing in the beginning. Let's see. And that was a song I imported another song, and then of course this is the desktop capture right here. This is what you're seeing on your main screen. So it's like really super cool production stuff. And again, it was really challenging learning all this, but it's fun and exciting at the same time. But yeah, and then again, these are all the different screens and inputs and everything like that, you know. And it's Axe has something like this also, though he has Ecamm, and that's supposed to be really powerful. And that's for Mac. The vMix is for PC, and what Axe has is actually for Mac. Let me get next to the mic there so maybe you can hear me. I keep forgetting to stay on top of the mic there. But yeah, this is kind of cool. So let me jump off of that, and then jump off of this. Boom. There you go. So yeah, so it's kind of really cool. I like. It's just fun learning all this stuff. Yeah, I know. I mean, totally cool. It's it takes a while to learn all that stuff, but once you do, and again, it's fun, it's exciting. I do that law thing all day, and then get kind of stressful, and you come home and trying to figure something else out. There's nothing to do with law. Kind of get your mind off it for for a little bit of time there, and get you into like another project, and kind of frees your mind up. So yeah, it's been real fun doing it and everything like that. So I've definitely enjoyed it. But I tell you what, it's hitting about the 11 o'clock hour right now and getting close to my bedtime. So I'm going to pretty much say goodnight for the rest of the night. And I just want to thank everybody who's come into the chat. I want to thank Amy. Definitely want to thank the great douchebag Talk Law to Me. Talk Law to Me and make me write bad checks. There you go. But I want to thank Amy. I want to thank the great douchebag. Also, I saw O'Shea Blogcast. O'Shea Duke Jackson was in it. He has he has 2 great YouTube channels, O'Shea Blogcast and O'Shea Duke Jackson. I watch his show on a regular basis. he gave me a big shout out on his show. Just to let you know, if you see, I have like 134 subscribers. I had 11, and then he asked me to go on a show to be interviewed. And his show is like a Black First site. It's Negro Manosphere. And it was the actual show was a Red Pill show. I was the first white guy to ever be on that show. And that was quite an honor, to be honest with you. And the nice thing about being the first white guy on it is, like, anything I said, I'd say, like, okay, this represents all white people's opinions. And I said to anybody listening who's white, I said, if you're white and you have a different opinion than mine, tough shit, because I'm the only white guy here, and I'm saying what the opinion is. So I also want to shout out to Dr. Ford, who also came by earlier as well. And, what's his name came by? Let me pull it up here. Where is it? Oh, there he is. Odinga Mabuto. I want to thank you for coming by as well. Regarding the Trump, the government shutdown, how that was going to affect Trump in 2020. I just, like I said, I agreed to a point, because I think it'll affect him if he doesn't get any money for the wall. If he gets money for the wall, I think it's a win, and he can take it home. But if he doesn't, then I agree. Then it definitely could affect him in 2020. So again, I want to thank everybody who came in. Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Who? And like I was saying, anyway, I had 11 subs at the time. So then he was kind enough to ask me to go on his show one night, and we were talking legal issues. Because it's kind of a men's site also. Negro Manosphere, it's like the Manosphere, started by white people first, for like men's rights groups and stuff. So, and we're talking about divorce and child custody and stuff like that, and how, it's generally women most times get primary physical custody of the kid, even when the dad fights it, even when dad is potentially the better parent as well. So I got to go on his show, and he gave me a big shout out, and he asked a bunch of his subs. He goes, hey, go sub to this guy's site, sub to his channel. A bunch of his mod subs, his subs, I went from 11 subscribers to 134, like literally in 20 minutes or less. So yeah, so that was really good, and so I just always want to thank him for that. That was fantastic. Actually, I was, like, oh, okay, I suddenly had 130. I mean, literally, it was like 20 minutes later, I had 134 subs from 11. So anyway, thanks for everybody being in here, Mr. Douchebag, Amy. Matubo, Dr. Ford, O'Shea, and you guys all have a good one, and I will see you guys later. I'll run some music here for you to kind of send you out on, and let's see, we'll play some good stuff. So anyway, have a good night, and to all a good night. And if you like the video, if you're watching, please hit the like button, subscribe, and watch the video later. Thank you for watching. I'll put on there exactly when the video starts, and through all the music. Anyway, guys, take care. Have a good one. Bye. I'm chasing fire. Good night. Carl with Carl's Opinion.